Welcome to Theology in the Streets podcast, where no topic goes untouched. It's your boy, late to the game. And I got on my left, off vacation.
Big dog jam on the Patreon.
Working or something. I don't know where he was at last week.
Been working hard, fellas. It's good to be back, man. This is a beautiful episode, man. We're gonna talk.
Slacking.
Right across from me, we got...
You got your boy, Kurt Classic, back in the building, baby.
And last but not least...
You got your boy, Don Dada, faithful, here for you guys.
Don's Hot Mic Dada.
That's right.
Yo.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Good to be back. Do another show here. And we're going to continue on in our Crime and Consequence series. This is what, our third episode, fourth episode, something like that.
I believe it's
hitting hard too, boy.
Yeah, they've been bumping.
Man.
They've been bumping.
Yeah, they've been good.
So, Dawn, share with us a little bit about what we about to do today for this episode.
Well, we brought to you on the first episode, I believe, the person that was doing the victimizing, right? I believe it was the first one.
Yeah, Brother Ishmael Fletcher.
Brother Ishmael, and how that affects, a person, or the repercussions would affect if you're living that lifestyle. Then episode 2, we did it on the receiving end. Yeah. If you was a person that some type of violence or
victim of violence.
A victim of violence.
Where Ishmael was the perpetrator of violence.
Exactly. Yeah. And we had my brother, what was it? The last episode.
Larry Morales.
Larry.
Yeah. He was his son was murdered, yeah.
Yeah, so we showed you that aspect. Now we're gonna come full circle and show you the viewpoint of how it affects the community, the city, when you have all this violence and you have all these wrong decisions being made.
All right, so who we have on this episode today?
Today we got my boy. Your boy. That I've been trying to get here for a long time.
For a minute, yeah. We've been trying to get him on for a minute.
Busy man. But build a relationship with this brother. He gave me opportunity to work for him, and the short time that we did do what we was doing, I believe he was making some steps. And you know what? I never told you, but I'd like to tell you now. I think we was making some progression. I think the progress was happening. Chemistry was starting to build. We was building ideas. It was starting to go somewhere good until it got monkey wrenched. But I felt that way, Ray. I have my former manager, Ray Mayoliz, and I will let him introduce himself and who he is on the show today.
Well, thank you guys. Theology in the Streets. I've been trying to get here myself. I'm glad I'm finally here. I met quite a few of you from other opportunities and other podcasts. But my name is Ray Mayoliz, former everything city employee, no longer a city employee. Now just a entrepreneur, businessman on my own, doing my own thing. Worked for the city for quite some time, in different capacities.
The city of Rochester, New York, Western New York.
City of Rochester, Western New York. Born and raised in the Bronx, in New York City. Moved to Rochester in the late 80s. And when I moved here and I took that Amtrak train to Rochester, passing all the greenery, the cows, came to Rochester, and I thought everybody in Rochester was rich, for real, because everybody had houses, lived in houses. I'm coming from tall buildings and skyscrapers, no backyards, no front lawn, none of that. So I'm thinking everybody here in the Rock is wealthy and loaded. So you know what, I could really do some damage up in here. But that was the kid in me. That was the kid in me thinking I could really take over here, right? But I found out quickly the people in Rochester were not as weak as I thought they was. There's some strong cats out here. Went to Edison Tech.
ET,
I'm an ET alumni.
No doubt.
I did not finish my senior year. I ended up going to East Night School to graduate from East Night School.
That's what's up, though. You graduated.
So, but I didn't let all the things that negatively affected me stop me from getting that piece of paper, right? That diploma. Joined the military after that, and I learned respect. I learned honor. I learned about integrity. I learned things that was not in front of me. Right, you're going through we all had those families, right? Dysfunctional families, So I have definitely dysfunctional in some way, shape, or form, right? Stepfather, mom and grandparents, all in the penal system, everybody arrested, and living a life of going to visit family members in the Department of Corrections every weekend. Just became normal life for me, right? So here comes the city of Rochester, right? Outreach worker for Pathways to Peace under Bill Johnson when we first started, And if you look at the numbers now, the last time homicides were at an all-time high was the late 90s, right? We just broke that record this year.
Yes, crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you just mentioned, full circle. We come in full circle from what took place 20-something years ago to now, and it's happening. And some things need to happen the way it happened back in the late 90s.
Well, you think some of the stuff in the late 90s, though, that was because of the crack epidemic, right?
It was a lot to do with, crack epidemic, of course, the drug sales, just the selling of drugs was at an all-time high. People fighting for territory that they rent, they didn't own. So, a lot of those things came into play. But I think, when you had young people shoot at cops without any second thought or any remorse, that just became something that we just can't have in our community.
Well, and that's newer for Rochester.
Well, that happened back in the 90s. That was one of the things that happened. There was a bank robbery, and some of the young people that were robbing that bank shot at some cops, right? And it's like,
not only that, the kid from Dayton Street.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
A long time ago. Yeah.
But but just to be fair, it wasn't common.
Yeah. No, it wasn't as common as now. It wasn't as common as now.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, my career has gone up and down. I went through, started from the bottom all the way to managing the team, to getting promoted to another position.
That's right.
Slowly but surely, I built confidence with some of my team members. The original Pathways outreach team was amazing. I got nothing bad to say about any single one of them because they were out there walking the talk. They were talking the talk and walking the talk, right? They were building relationships with young people and families. We're talking generations after 20-something years. It's generations now. Now I'm with grandpa, dad, and their son, right? So that we're talking 3 generations of relationships and trust that we have been able to build that has all crumbled down. Wow. You mentioned the monkey wrench.
Yeah.
Those relationships are gone. So some people in the administration decided, let's go this different route. Let's try this. Let's create this. And all they've been doing is just creating things that were already established.
So what did Pathways do when you first came aboard? What did they do for the city of Rochester?
So at first, our job was twofold. Being reactive to crime and homicides and assaults by young people, and also being proactive, the outreach piece.
Crucial.
Going out there to the schools, to the rec centers, to the corner stores, all night long, not just 9 to 5. We're talking all night long, out there till 2, 3 in the morning, being that let out when the club lets out, and making sure everybody got to where they need to get to their cars and keep it moving. And they got home safely. You don't have that today. Now when you leave the club, you ducking bullets.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. That's crazy. That's the tension and what's in the environment right now. So we were able to do that with a small team, but we were very effective. And then we kept asking for more money, more funding, so we could have more bodies to do this work all over the city. We never got that luxury.
Never got it?
Never got it until later down the line where they said, all right, let's see what they can do with that. We're talking about 5. Let's see what they can do with 10.
So it started off with the 5?
5. The
first how long?
5.
How long was the
first 5 was probably for the first really 9-10 years until
5 individuals.
5 individuals.
Wow. Committed,
Black, white, male, female, but the 5 of us were like the band of the hand. We all knew what each other was doing. We all were doing our job, and we checked each other. Okay. And that basically was good work.
And there's a lot of personal sacrifice?
A lot of personal sacrifices. I mean, I missed a lot with the family, of course, but every time somebody was shot, stabbed, or assaulted, one of the 5 of us knew somebody in that family. We knew somebody in that circle. Yeah. So we had an in to that relationship.
So can you be more specific about what exactly y'all did. Like, let's say y'all try to prevent crime in Rochester by reaching out to these youths, teenagers who were in gangs that you knew were involved in gang activity.
Mm-hmm.
You knew who all the gangs were. You knew their families. So you'd go to the schools, talk to these kids, try and get them out of the gangs.
All that.
And then when gang activity happened, this man shot this man. You know these dudes about to beef with these dudes now. Y'all would try and squash that beef.
We would definitely try to squash it. But the thing is that when you build those relationships, a call came quick to our Nextel, two-way cell phone, right? Breep, breep, chink, chirp, chirp, whatever. And we would know real quick what was going on. Not like now with social media, everybody's grabbing their phone.
Yeah.
We were doing that 20-something years ago, right? And we had, we were getting paged to the scenes and we were getting calls from the kids themselves. Yo, I'm feeling this type of way. This just happened. Such and such just got shot. I fear for my safety. We move. We mobilize. It's quick mobilization.
Yeah.
It's real quick. Good thing about it is we would be able to cut through some red tape, meaning there was teen shelters, runaway shelters, for homeless teens. You need to get a kid a safe place. We had things in place to make somebody safe, mad quick.
Yeah.
Put them up in a hotel out in Brockport if you have to, away from Rochester, so that you got them out of the way and feeling safe, so that at least they can close their eyes. Because when you're in that moment, you can't close your eyes. Yeah. You always doing this.
Yeah.
Checking behind yourself.
So you had 5 people doing this.
5 people doing this.
5 people trying to
5 citywide.
Trying to do that job citywide.
Citywide. Wow. And the thing is that each one of us became like a fixture in our quadrant. So we had the Northeast, the Northwest, Southeast, Southwest, right? And that's 4 of us, and then one of us just all over the place as a floater, just all over. We were just covering the city completely. And Noom was right. He just said, was it Don? My bad.
No.
Both.
Hot mic.
Noom was right. We were making some really serious headway. And it's gone through transition. Administrations want whoever they want for the manager to manage the program. So it became like, okay, so you had to have buy-in from your team. We talked about Moneyball a few minutes ago, but if your leader is not leading, your team is not respecting that and not doing the work, right? And then if you have to micromanage those 5, right? You should be able to feel you can trust those 5 and know they are where they are. Yeah. Ask them how many times I popped up on them while they were doing their work.
Oh, yeah.
Ask them. I would drive by. I would always just to make sure they was where they said they was going to be, doing what they said they was going to do. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it 100. I got fired from the city because I wasn't where I was supposed to be one time, right? Because I was busy taking care of a kid. Because they told me I can't take kids in my personal car to a job interview. I stated, we here to help kids. I'm gonna do all I can for that kid to get that job, even if I risk policy, if I broke policy, right? But for somebody to really punish me for breaking policy, I did it, and I'll do it again. I'm sorry. I believe that much in that kid that I'm going to go that extra mile. So forgive me for breaking that policy, but I did it. I got let go. I was away from the city for like 8 years. They brought me back.
Okay, so you were let go the first time because you were trying to help, and now you came back to the city. How did that happen?
Well, again, you can only do, your work speaks for itself. Your relationship speaks for itself. You come back because we believe in what you bring to the table. We want you to lead this team now. So now I'm like, okay, and the team that I had, was a different 5.
So when you came back, it became a different 5.
It became a different lot.
But y'all was still doing y'all still was progressing. We were
still progressing, still moving. The hardest thing about that position and that job, and everybody will say, it's hard to quantify your wins. How do you quantify you saving life by doing street outreach? How do you measure that? How do you document that?
Yeah.
So if they want to keep you and they got to provide funding for you, you got to prove your worth and prove your team is doing that. How can I say that I hit the corner and there was Curtis at 2:00 in the morning?
Yeah, there's no analytics on that.
I just chopped it up with Curtis. I made sure he got in his car, right? And he got home safely. Yeah. But at 2:15, there was a drive-by at that corner.
Yeah.
If I wasn't there, he might have gotten caught up. You know what I mean? If I didn't make sure he got in that car and drove off, he might have got caught up. That bullet have no range. You can't measure that.
Yeah.
So that became like, city council's issue is how do you quantify what this team does?
Who was the first administration to implement that program when you first got in there? Before
Bill
you got
Johnson.
It was Bill
It
Johnson.
was Mayor Johnson.
In the 90s.
Mayor Johnson.
Big ups to Bill Johnson, man.
Yeah, it was Mayor Johnson.
Listen, man, that was Rochester's best mayor, hands down.
Was it his idea, or did it come from someone else?
It came from a couple different places. There was the Boston Safe Streets Initiative. So there was, Boston was doing something. There was another city that was doing some things.
Yeah.
So it became like doing some research.
Yeah.
They took the 5 of us. They locked us up at Cobb's Hill at the Tate House, and they asked us to create pathways to peace.
Wow.
So the 5 of us, along with our manager back then, which was Earl Isaac, we came up with a plan. And that was, I keep thinking about the band of the hand. This is what we want to do. Each one in the quadrant, build relationships with these young people, do this outreach. We had each other's back. Like I said, I have nothing bad to say about any of the people I work with.
Speaking on the outreach, I remember hearing, I don't know if it was designed by you guys, but it was like a guns down thing you guys did, that everybody turned in their guns. I remember speaking about, was you guys a part of that?
We was part of that, turning in guns. It was, we talked about hands up and guns down, hands up, guns down type of thing. But yeah, we were part of that movement. But,
part of that, okay.
There's another initiative that Hector Macho Camacho Jr. is doing in Puerto Rico, because his dad was killed by gun violence.
Yeah.
So he's doing gloves up, guns down.
Okay.
Right. So he's doing something similar to that. But
I remember reading also, it was like I thought, I don't know why, I think you guys did it only once or maybe twice. You guys did a retreat that mothers will reunite with their daughters for the weekend or something like that.
Yeah, so that was, again, one of our outreach workers, Bev Jackson. Shout out to Bev. She had some things done with young girls, and she had young girls coming in weekly, chilling and talking about some things and talking about things they were afraid to talk about with their own family members, right? Including, sex and drugs and assaults and guns and violence. And she would do it through carrying other mentors, female mentors like her, herself. And then Mike Brooks started, some things for the boys. So between Mike Brooks and Bill Jackson, they had these groups of kids coming to the centers and doing some really, really positive work. To the point where, and it was all prevention.
Exactly.
To the point where they were actually going to seek funding to grow.
Yeah.
That, which was the Determined Divas and Distinguished Boys. The Goodfellas. And, it was really 2 great programs where I think if they seeked funding to continue those work, but, some people out here in administrations have other ulterior motives where they'll block you from progression.
Yeah.
Politics.
You want to keep going to politics, but they'll block you from progression, right? And they'll do everything they can to keep you in check and make sure that they're in charge.
So,
period. Just like for me, I couldn't do certain things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
They say stay in your lane.
Right.
Make sure you stay in your lane, and I always had to remember that I have to protect who I am, right? But also I protect the administration that I'm serving.
Yeah. So
right?
that's tricky work right there.
So what when you first started off, what was going on in the city that prompted this need for this program?
Well, it was the high numbers of homicides at the time, and you talk about that joined with suspension rates in the RCSD, long-term suspensions for fighting in the schools. So all these things came to play where we were created, and we were making some serious headway in all those different areas. And I'll tell you how we did it, and that was based on communication. It was everything.
Yeah.
You had, I'm going to use some acronyms. You had SSOs, school safety officers, right?
Yep.
You had CPOs, crime prevention officers in each quadrant. You had SROs, school resource officers.
Yep.
You have all these people talking to each other, talking with pathways, having these communication. Rochester Youth Violence Partnership, which is an overall umbrella of about 60-something, 70-something agencies, all under one umbrella, having conversations about our young people. who the top percentage was of who was going to get into trouble, identifiers, right?
Yeah.
And they would get referred to pathways.
Yeah.
And then we would get them into programming and try to guide them the right path. We couldn't save them all.
Right.
We knew some fell through the cracks. And then where pathways would excel, unfortunately, would be at homicide scenes or shooting scenes or at the hospital in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Right? That's where we would excel because we were able to cut through red tape, go right into the ED, talk to the surgeon, talk to the social worker. Walk them right to the bedside and say, hey, this is what happened. Yo, where you got shot, and they would tell us, like, yo, Mr. Ray or Mr. This or Mr. Brooks or Mr. Hall or Mr. whoever, Mr. Manley, whatever, whoever it was at the time, they would tell me, like, yo, I was there.
Relationship.
It was real relationships. You don't got that now.
Hey, Ray. So Mayor Bill Johnson implemented this program back in the days, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you
went through many mayors after that.
so it kept alive.
Yeah, it was kept alive.
And then so when lovely Warren became mayor, she hired you to rerun the program?
So I was already on there. So I had a relationship with Lovely from the northeast quadrant, right? She was our council person back before she was mayor in that area. We built, pretty decent relationship, and she knew me as an outreach worker at the time, So, we had a good relationship at the time, and she had asked me, I think, a couple years later, like, if Pathways was. What would you do if you were in charge of Pathways? How would you make some strides? So I put some things together on paper, and here you go.
And she liked it? She hired you?
She liked it,
Awesome.
So long story short, I ended up becoming the director. But, however, I was put in a very tough position because the person that brought me back was my former partner. And he was the director at the time. You know what I mean? So then they put me in a really bad position to.
Why was that a bad position?
Because I had to let him go.
To become the
To be the director.
To be the
So
director.
he was
she hired you, and then you had to let your
wow.
mans go because he was running it.
Yes.
And he was
You
like,
couldn't
"Yo, I'm
rehire him,
the
though?
boss." You couldn't hire him?
I would have loved to, but
Yeah,
they told me
they
no.
was done,
they was done.
Jeez.
I kept wanting to rehire old staff to come back because that team was so dope.
Yeah.
And I was told, nah, we're not hiring nobody who's been in these positions before.
Gotcha.
So
But they hired you. That's hypocrisy.
that was
That's-
hard to swallow.
Brings me to this question. So you've been doing this for a long time, helping these kids. What are some of the dominant factors you find in these kids' lives that are lacking or that's prevalent, that's causing them to fall through the cracks?
And I would say relationships and real parents.
Yeah.
Parents.
Fathers.
So,
moms.
Fathers, yes, but real parents,
Right.
including and right now, your parents are young. They want to be your friends. They don't want to be your parents. So you can only do that. But a lot of our parents right now don't have parenting skills.
Yeah. The kids, that's why.
So give us an
they
example
don't have
of
no-
that.
yeah.
Like of a kid you tried to help that was involved in gang activity and you saw him heading the wrong way, either death or...
So how about a 14-year-old boy? His mom's 28 years old, right? So which means she had him as she was 14. Dad was, had him when she was 16. So dad's like, 30 now? So I'm giving you a real life example.
Yeah.
Kid does dirt, whatever, and hanging out the corners. They get called on this kid over and over and over again. You know how many home visits we did to this kid's house and then have conversations with the parents till we're blue in the face. But when you come to the house and you see their surroundings in the house,
Yep, there you go.
now answers. All these answers just come into your head.
What surroundings did
you
you see?
walked in and the only thing in the house was a mattress on the living room floor, right?
Yeah.
There was no dishes. There was empty McDonald's bags everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They had, so when you're living in that type of environment,
Parents unemployed?
one was working, one was not working. One was like going through disability, trying to get disability or something like that. But those types of scenarios, it's hard for a parent to be a parent because it really they're not in control of their own life right now. How can they parent when they don't have control of their own life?
Yeah.
Right?
Too busy trying to get
Dad's
themselves right.
going through substance abuse programming, right, and going to classes every day. Mom is trying to make ends meet and hiding dad out from social services so they don't find out he's in the house so that she could keep getting benefits. So these are the types of environments that the staff is exposed to.
How would you alleviate that? as a government official, city official.
So with that, we had things in place, right? We had we had neighborhood safety net teams in place, where we would have DSS in the house, social workers in the house, service providers in the house, and we'd say, yo, this parent needs furniture, this parent needs food, this parent needs clothing, this parent needs this, and guess what? At the end of the week, they had all that.
Yeah.
But because it was working, guess what happened? It works. Let's throw roadblocks and let's cancel that.
Politics
You know what I mean?
once again.
Let's cancel that. You know what I mean? So, again, good thing. And it's not recreating, the tool. There's some programs that are now that have been created, or I won't say created, rebranded, just because somebody said, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. They're doing it over here in this state. We've been doing that for 20-something years.
So those things that y'all did for these parents, right? That provided them with, furniture, food.
Yeah, one-stop shop.
To help the kid have a better life and maybe he could, make better decisions. Did that help the parents?
It helped everybody.
Did the parents improve though after doing that?
So it would only improve as long as you can keep those services going.
So it's really
you have to have follow through, follow up, and good follow through and follow up.
So it's like an enabling, right? Like you're enabling the parents to keep doing what you're doing. Like
if you stop the program,
yeah. But did they change after you did what you did?
So I would say we were not able to save everything and everybody, but some people, if you worked it and you stayed true to what we laid in front of you, they changed.
And I think that
some come by now and say thank you. Like I go by now and there's a manager of Pep Boys? Not Pep Boys. Well, yeah, it used to be Pep Boys. No, it's Pep Boys. He's the manager of Pep Boys, and every time I go in there, he's like, thank you.
He was one of the kids?
He was one of them kids.
And you helped his parents?
We helped everybody in that house.
Boom.
We helped him, his brother, his sister, and he's a manager at Pep Boys right now, and it's like...
Yeah, it's not just black and white. It's not that black and white. Like something politics can sometimes lead us to see it as,
Curtis, you were going to say something?
I think that what you were alluding to, Gemma, and then what he said was earlier is about the lack of support that you're getting from the higher ups, right? As far as like the funding, the resources. Like, so you're providing these services, and yes, as long as you're providing the services, everything's good. But what it sounds like is that that's because there's not enough help. So if you get the proper resources and the help right there to help undergird what you're doing, through the pathways and whatnot, then now you're building more relationship. And the more relationship, the more influence, the more positive influence you can have in someone's life, then that will definitely increase the risk of that person changing. Yeah. But, when you're being roadblocked and red taped every time, something gets successful, then of course, man, that's going to hurt.
Then there's been like added creations of other similar programs like Pathways. You've got Snug Rochester doing Snug programming. You've got other agencies that are doing this type of work. You have mothers of murdered children who have created other agencies within their own realm, and they want to get into this work. And, I applaud every single one of them because they're out there pounding the pavement and they want to make a difference.
And it's necessary.
Yeah. But right now, I think I was watching a podcast, or not a podcast, but a Facebook Live yesterday, and somebody said, aren't y'all mad that these kids got killed? Like 3 or 4 of them got killed that one day? Why aren't you out in these streets pissed off the way you were when what Daniel Prue got killed or George Floyd got killed? Why aren't you out there for these 4 kids that got killed? Yeah. Why aren't you out there for Larry Morales and his son whose homicide is still unsolved? You know what I mean? Yeah. And he cries for help every day.
No doubt.
Yeah. Listen to that man's words when he says something or he posts something. He's crying for help every single day.
You can see that.
He's in pain. Yeah. And somebody needs to answer for that. You know what I mean? So I mean, today's world, right? Technology is everything. Why can't we find who did that? With the technology we have in today's
world. But I want to push back on the idea that all of these programs or agencies that are popping up is good for the movement. I think it actually hurts the movement because then what you're doing is you're dividing the resources. And not only that, but the issue that you find is that everybody wants to be the reason why it works.
Yeah. They don't network with each other. They don't connect.
Everybody wants to have their own program instead of just saying, look, man, this is a great program right here. if I come in, even if I establish my program, but I'm establishing my program to come up under what you doing.
Yeah, but could it
and
be?
I'm gonna be an outfit of what you're doing.
Yeah, not to cut you off, Kurt, but could it be that the smaller programs that are popping up, right, the Rise Up, the Larry Morales, Forever 22, is because they're not finding the help from the political establishment per se, right?
Yeah.
So as Ray is saying here, is like, yo, politics gets involved. And now there's like, yo, we need to do something. Mm-hmm. So they just jumping in. They're doing whatever they can. And so now you have to split up, I think, because of that, right?
Yeah,
so,
no, without a doubt, I think there's some people that are doing that.
Yeah.
But I've been around the city enough to know some of these players. Not everybody has a genuine
I feel you.
motive behind what they're doing.
You right, but and I'll tell you my personal experience, because personally, I thought about this two ways, right? There's me, the person, and me, the provider at home. I have to provide a roof over my head for my family and my kids, right? So I'm going to take everything thrown at me and follow the rules of engagement through the administration so I can protect myself and my family, right? To have, the comfortability of having a home and having bills paid and having, those things. On the flip side of that, I feel like I'm betraying my community because I'm not being as outspoken about everything I want to be outspoken about, because they're holding me like this.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay,
They're holding me like
yeah.
this, and I can't breathe, right? So now Mr. Ray is traumatized. Traumatized. So since that happened and I was getting held down, and I'm getting it from the left side, getting from the right side, you know what? I volunteer myself right now, and I'm resigning in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what they told me? You could leave right now.
Wow.
Go pack your stuff up and turn it in.
Dang.
That's what I was told. That was the thank you I got. And I'm keeping it 100. That was the thank you I got.
And explain what you was in charge of at that time.
At that time, I was in charge of a program called My Brother's Keeper, which was a part of the Obama Foundation. And I've been doing that for the last 7 years. And on top of my regular duties, and I did that as, helping out our administration because, they were going through some changes. And because I was at the White House and I was in Oakland and I was here visiting, and I met a lot of people and networked with everybody in different states from here all the way to California about My Brother's Keeper and the initiative of really taking young men of color, black and brown boys, and giving them a path to success, right? Putting things in place for black and brown boys so that they did not fall into the penal system. They did not fall into unemployment. They did not fall into becoming drug addicts and things of that nature. So that was what I was in charge of. And one is to be in charge of something so great, but then not giving the support. Mm-hmm. So don't set somebody up for failure, right? So I want to succeed. I want our kids to succeed. I want our black and brown boys to succeed. I want our community to succeed. So slowly but surely, I fell out of love. And I keep throwing that back. I fell out of love with my city, and I haven't told this to nobody. This is the first time I'm really speaking about it, because right now I have found solace with myself, finding myself all over again. The anxiety and the stress of working for city government is gone. I used to have a knot on my back, right above the back of your neck. That stress, that real painful thing right there. Yeah. Like everything's on top of you. I don't have that right now. Yeah. Right now, I'm talking to y'all freely. Yeah. And guess what? Nobody can hold nothing against me and say, you fired, brother. Nobody can tell me I'm fired but myself.
No, when I seen the transition of Ray, what he was going through, and still trying to work, because at the time I'm still working for the city and trying to do what I can. But we seen it crumble. You're seeing it crumble before your eyes. Yeah. And I told Ray, I remember I seen it. I said, Ray, don't worry, bro. You're going to be free. Remember I seen you, I said, you're going to be free, bro. Don't worry, you're going to be free. And you only could do what you could do, but it's going to, you're going to be free. And when that transpired, everything that you went through, do you think did that come directly from the mayor, you think, or you think it's just who is behind that? I don't know if you want to speak on that.
At this point, I don't really care where it came from. I just know it came, right? And when you feel uncomfortable going to your place of employment, something's wrong, right? And if nobody checks you or says, "Yo, what do you need? How can we help you? You need professional development. You need this. You need that." I didn't get none of that, man. You just got.
That's supposed to be protocol,
You just
right?
got to feel. You just felt like an outcast. I was part of the leadership team and was, all the different things that were going on in our department. I was, kind of like aware of. Yeah. To the point where, nope, you're not part of the leadership anymore. I'm not going to supervise you no more. They're going to pass you down to somebody else. They dropped my bracket down from my salary, so it kept going downwards, bro. It kept going down, and for me, progression is up.
And this is for no apparent reason, just happening.
Again. No apparent reason, but
there's a reason.
There's a reason.
There's an agenda.
But what that reason is, I don't know. But you can. Long story short, but they bring in whoever they want. Yeah. For any position. If they want you gone, they're gonna make it happen, and they're gonna make you life miserable. If your life is miserable, you're gonna walk away. Yeah.
So you think you was used for? You think you was used for? They needed you for that PR at the time to get to where they needed to be.
Honestly, I don't have an answer to that. Okay. I can only assume and feel what took place, but I mean, there's so much more that just happened after that because for me, like I said, I resigned, and then when I resigned, and I had the medical benefits, right? I'm throwing it all out there today. I had the medical benefits, right? So I had to switch, and my wife was a city employee as well, So I said, "Hey, honey, I'm gonna leave, and we're gonna have to switch medical insurance. You're gonna have to cover me now because I've covered you for all these issues. I got you, So switched everything over. 3 weeks after that, they fired her.
Oh, what?
Oh man!
Oh, I didn't even know that, bro. Wow. Oh, bro. Wow.
So y'all tell me.
Wow.
I'm just telling you what happened.
That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, is that coincidence?
Is not a coincidence, bro.
So y'all tell me. So then here's my humble self. Do I go after the city of Rochester? Do I file a lawsuit? Do I think it was intentional? Do I really, where's my mind at?
Yeah.
You know what? We don't need y'all. We're gonna survive. We survivors. We don't need y'all.
That's what we do.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it moving. We don't need y'all. And you know what? Let me have a conversation with the incoming mayor, right? And let me have a conversation with him and tell him, look, this is how I was treated. This is what's going on. I'm willing to come back to the city and give back 150%, but under these conditions. Let me set my own conditions.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I want to give back to this community so bad, but not under those conditions.
So let me ask you, now that you're not in the city no more.
Nah.
Do you think now is Pathway of the Peace still going on?
Yeah.
Pathways is still going on. It's still a city entity. And
how productive you think they are now?
So
that's my point, though, because you have
as far
as
productivity, I don't know where they're at. I don't know what they're doing. All I know is what people tell me. Where is Pathways?
But see, no, because we talked about earlier that you can't quantify this, you can't measure this, but
that is the question.
But this is the thing: when you remove everything rises and falls on leadership, right?
Yeah.
You remove the head of this program, right? And you see what's going on with our kids, the teenagers.
Is that
a measurable kind? Right, we got over 70 murders in our city. That we breaking records right now.
But you got rid of cops in schools. You got rid of Pathways. Not Pathways, but you got rid of some of the way
programs,
Pathways, the program, the way it was flowing. It's changed. You got rid of, neighborhood service centers are, people don't defund the police. You have officers that have resigned at the highest level right now. You know how many people took the test to be RPD this go round? Just over 100. That's 16 new officers were just pledged in. 16.
And usually,
that's it.
Usually that will be what?
It's usually up in like 40, 50. Wow. But only 16 passed.
Yeah, I heard the police morale is really down.
It's low. If you don't believe in your team and your administration.
And they overwork right now, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that one that's going around and saying, and another one on Facebook, and another one. They keep counting the homicides.
Wow.
That's a law enforcement person that just keeps saying, and another one. They're demoralized.
Yeah.
So you think that all plays a part of why we're in this climate
it all
we
plays
is
a
now?
part. It all plays a part. Right now, I mean, I give kudos to those, and I hear through the grapevine that Pathways is coming back strong with the new administration.
Okay.
I hear that.
Okay.
And
Malik Evans?
I can't wait, huh?
Under Malik Evans?
Under Malik Evans, yes. I'm thinking he's bringing back some of the players that used to be there, and they're going to create something. What that is, I don't know, but I can't wait for it because it's much needed, and I applaud them for willing to come back, under these conditions to really pound the pavement and get back out there.
What you think about your old neighborhood? And I'm talking about Rochester, because was you had a big part in the Maqueta and all that, right? Or,
You talking about Clinton Avenue?
Yeah, Clinton Avenue. What you think about the Clinton? Because Clinton right now is crazy, right?
What's that, Maqueta? What's that?
The
market
Maqueta,
right
it's
there.
the market,
International
it's like-
market.
Right across from the-
So one of the things, like 3 years ago, we did No Mas campaign, and the No Mas campaign was to battle against the heroin epidemic up and down Clinton Avenue, which, as you could still see, it's still prevalent right now, right?
Super prevalent. Super prevalent.
It's prevalent, right?
12 noons, they zooted.
So you have, some eyesores, and some
Yes.
places on the Clinton Avenue that the same things continue to happen, shootings and homicides, like the gas station.
Yes.
That
Yes.
right there, that's very popular.
Yeah.
But it's a place for hangout. It's a place for whatever.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It is drug infested. It is, shooting galleries all over the place. However, you have some people who have vested a lot to create new housing opportunities on Clinton Avenue, the new Marqueta, new parks in there. They're trying to redo the St. Michael's, trying to save St. Michael's. You got the new Father Tracy Health and Wellness Center. So you got a lot of people with buy-in to change that, right? But if you don't change what's happening in that small radius,
I think that doesn't help with the whole, because I feel the influx. Listen, I think
He's gonna say something.
I know he's gonna say the influx of the heroin, because Clinton always had the heroin. Let's be real, okay? But the influx of it being more prevalent, I feel it's because of these little clinics or whatever they're giving out, the free needle. I don't know what they're doing. It's just I've seen an influx of more prevalent heroin addicts hanging out on clinics. Back in the days, they used to come to cop. But now they're hanging
so
out.
cop
Why
and
is
move,
it?
cop and use somewhere else.
Yeah,
but
use
now it's
somewhere else.
cop
Now
and
it's
stay.
cop and stay to the point that the drug dealers are like playing broad day. They're not even hiding.
Yeah.
They're just doing it right there, like
So
it's a real business.
Yeah,
like
you
it's
put a drop
No,
on-
we were doing a march in the summer on violence, and literally walking down Clinton Ave with this march, and my man, homeboy, was just there, just leaning over, bro, higher than I don't know what. Bro, it's 12 noon, man.
No. And they're serving.
They're
They're
serving
walking right up
everything.
to cars. They're
Everything.
just serving like it's like it's not illegal. For
You're
real,
right,
bro. Literally,
you're right.
they
Like, it's
bro,
not-
it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
so right behind the auto place right there on Clinton, there's the needles drop-off bins.
Yeah.
So there, if you go back there, you see all these needles all over the drop-off bins and on the floor.
And I understand why they put those, but I don't know if that helps, man. Go ahead, Jay.
I have a question. Thank you, Dawn. Yo, look, this is where I got the problem. Honest to God, I got to get political. Well, not even political. Maybe like the Democrats, right? Like
Yep.
you're a Democrat, and we're trying to help our community, right? By helping people, right?
Yep.
By helping people, helping the parents, helping the criminals, right? Helping
Everybody.
the whole community by just helping instead of like on the Republican side, what I would do if I was a politician and I love my community on Clinton Avenue and all my Hispanic people, what I would do is put all the drug dealers and heroin addicts in jail. You see what I'm saying? Like, why don't we ever take that route? Because then it's counterproductive to our people, right? Well, we can't put our people in jail. Well, we have to put the bad guys in jail so that our community can prosper. But that's never the solution. It's like we never go that route. Like, you know they're selling drugs right there. You know who the crack dealers are, the drug dealers are, the crack addicts are, the heroin addicts. Put them in jail. And then now your community's cleaner.
But that's
Cleaner
not
and safer.
rehabilitative.
It's cleaner for the moment, but because the penal system is a whole nother beast, and the courts is a beast.
That's a whole-
where and that's where law enforcement has frustration, because I arrested Papito at 1:00 in the afternoon. Papito's back out at 4:00 in the afternoon on his own reconnaissance, and he was caught with whatever weight in his pocket. He was caught with a needle.
Democrat policy,
you know,
based on because they can't afford bail. This is wrong. That he could afford bail and gets out of the jail, but he can't afford bail, so everybody gets to get out of jail free, and it's counterproductive.
But you're also negating rehabilitation. You're just like lock them up, boom, bang. That's it.
But both sides.
Where's
work,
the middle
though.
ground? Where's the middle ground that rehabilitation?
Why can't both sides work together? Like everything he's doing is phenomenal.
I got you.
The Democratic
But if
Party
you
is trying
cross
to
this certain
help
line, right?
by this and this and that. That's dope. And at the same time, we could be putting the bad guys in jail too.
Yeah,
It'd be a twofold.
Bro, well, no,
It'd be a twofold.
Bro, when we was on the streets, we was getting put in jail. Yeah.
And it changed your life. It changed my life.
But you
I did a 5-month bid. I said I'm never going back.
But that's what happened. You did a small bid to change your mind. Now there's no bid.
And it wasn't even a bid. It was HCF. It was HCF. I had cubicles. It felt like summer camp. I knew everyone there.
Yeah.
I had the greatest time of my life. I did 5 months, but it was like, I ain't never going back. You know what I'm saying? And
No,
but that's the thing. Right now, they don't have that where they're going to lock you up and put you away for a little
no
while.
consequence.
There is
crime and
So
consequence.
let me ask this, Ray. What in your experience and when your time in the city, what kind of interactions did the city have with churches? Be real, man. Bro.
That's a tough question, but because I have seen churches involved from day one with the city, all the way till now. But it's always like the administration would circle and surround themselves with the churches that they feel comfortable with.
I see.
Not inclusive of all congregations and all churches.
Okay.
It's the churches who are in their inner circle and who they feel comfortable with. So if you notice, like when they do these, they have a clergy on patrol, right? Which was created by this current mayor. Yeah. They never had clergy on patrol prior to that, but this one had her churches that she was affiliated with and her administration was affiliated with come. Even though the invite might have been to all churches, but only so if I get invited certain ways, right? So if I got personal invitation,
that's right.
Versus a text message or a mailing. Or a mailing.
Because we got mailers
or the mailer where their address was wrong, and they, you know what I'm saying? So it was sent, but you really didn't get it. You know what I mean? So I mean, we keep it in the real.
It's impersonal.
It's impersonal. So if it's impersonal, I'm not going to show. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm going to go if I get personal. It was like, you really want me there. They really want me there, so I'm going to be there. Right. So, and we talk about churches all the time. Isn't the church pissed off about what's going on right now? Right? Yeah. Isn't the church pissed off about the surroundings of their churches that are, that these homicides are happening outside of their church?
Yeah. Well, I would say this. I would hope so.
So let's come out. Let's come out of our church. Let's come out of our. Let's go outside of our church and hold service outside in our neighborhood and bring awareness to our neighbors that we care and we give two damns about what's happening around this area.
Man, you you hit the hammer on the nail.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I'm not a preacher, bro. I'm not I'm not really religious, but that's what needs to happen.
So I'm gonna go ahead and
go ahead, Kurt.
Go ahead, Kurt.
But I think that's part of the problem is that, again, we've talked about this on this podcast before about the way we have institutionalized what we call church today is just not set up to be beneficial to the community.
Yes, it's not.
That's the truth of the matter.
Not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Pathways did outreach at a church across the street from a homicide a couple years ago, right? We set up a barbecue pit. We had the pit brought. We had everything set up. We had brought the food. We brought everything, brought music. The church people kicked us out their corner.
Yeah, see?
Oh,
see
wow.
what I'm saying?
What? Y'all didn't let us know. This is not a church function. This is our property. This is this. Yeah. We about
the people,
the neighborhood and the people. Yeah. They asked us to leave kindly.
And see, that's the problem right there is that, somebody once said to me when I was at my other church, he said, you want to know what makes a good church or how you know you are a good church is if your church was to up and leave your community, would they miss you?
That's right. That's the truth,
Stay
man.
there.
If
That's
you
the
cannot say that, man, my community, they would be hurt. You know what I'm saying? If I left,
Yeah.
you're not a good church.
Yeah.
And
that's
that's
good.
and this is coming from
Analogy.
like you really have to take evaluation because again, man, we get caught up in the numbers. We get caught up in how many people are filling the seats, but it's the quality of work that's coming out rather than the people that's coming in. That's what makes a good church. And I think that's why I said the way we have institutionalized church today is just not set up to be beneficial for the community.
Well, I wonder how much too. So, for example, let's come back to how much of the agenda driven by the administration kept them from working with, let's say, churches that may not line up politically, right? Because they're, without a doubt, politics affects all aspects of life. Where does the administration go above and beyond and realize this? I think some of the symptoms of our society is spiritual. It is spiritual, right? And if the church, obviously, as Curtis talking about, is not doing their part, they're not doing church properly. But at the same time, you have administration doing funky political stuff. It makes sense then people who are struggling have no hope in nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? If the politics can't do it, if the church can't do it, then why do I care?
Yeah.
My parents are addicted, or my father's gone, my mom is struggling, why do I care? And I think these are all kind of intertwined, man. They're intertwined, believe it or not. And then we want to say separation of church and state. Nah, man, with community, you can't have that. You got to be involved to some degree.
Yeah.
And coming back to this aspect, you mentioned on this when you said parents. I believe that some of the parents that don't know how to parent, we need some older folk or some people that do know how to parent to come alongside and invest. And this stuff ain't gonna be fixed anytime soon. We're talking about if this is the change in all the major cities, it ain't gonna be politics. It's gonna be relationships. And not only that, a repentance of heart in a sense. But it has to start off with relationships where we go above and beyond and we develop relationships. And I think there's a lot of young dudes that want to be good fathers, but they don't know how to handle pressure.
Yeah. But that doesn't come through policy.
No, it
That
don't.
comes through preaching.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree with
And
that.
what I mean by that
but
is
there
that,
can be those added resources that can come along and help.
So let's look at back in the day, right? What made the Catholic Church great?
I was just gonna, Kurt, you just took it out. I was gonna, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But even like Jamma's a great, he's a great example. How he said the Catholic Church was so prevalent in his neighborhood that they kept the neighborhood running and thriving.
That's right.
Sio, where now. Come on,
They're absent.
now they're
it's
absent,
gone.
and now you see all the violence on Sio. You see, but Jem was
Mount
like,
Carmel, right?
yeah,
That's
Mark
what it
Carmel.
is?
But Jem
Mount
said
Carmel.
at the time when he was growing up, it was a beautiful neighborhood. It was like one of those ideal neighborhoods you wanted to be in. They was investing into the community. He even brought up the church on Clinton. Was it
St. Michael.
St. Michael.
Yeah.
Look at it's right now. It's endangered to get closed down, right? But the community is speaking up and saying they don't want it closed down.
say, nah,
that
that's not happening.
means that they invested into the community somehow. That like Kurt said, the community is saying no, we don't want this shut down. The community, this ain't got nothing to do. The community is saying no. This is a staple. It's done things for me.
It's helped us,
It's
yeah.
helped us.
I mean, it was back in the day where we had, like, going to school, we had religious instructions where we would go to learn some religious instruction on Wednesdays after school or whatever, right? Or Sundays, we used to go to church on Sundays. Like, that's just gone. Nobody who takes their family to church other than old school,
Right.
Catholics. They don't. But if these parents don't believe in that, they don't have that. They weren't exposed to that.
Yeah, they're
You gotta-
unchurched today.
They're
Yeah.
unchurched. They're not trained in that. And then now church becomes what you hear on social media, what you see on social media, right? I went as a guest to a church, and I felt like I was on MTV for real. I was like, they had speakers, they had a light show, they had smoke, they had,
But no relationship.
Even though the word was good,
Yeah.
but I felt like I was at a concert. I said, this doesn't remind me of what church was when I went to church, right? Because we had that regular hour. We sat, we kneeled, we sit, we had communion. Everything was like a program, right? So we knew what time we were getting there. We knew what time we were leaving. Now it's a concert. You're there for 4 hours, and you're celebrating life, celebrating his life, right? Whoever his is, whoever you believe in, and it's like, this is, I don't remember church, even though it felt good, because the word is still the word. It doesn't matter how it comes across; it's still the word, but it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Again, it's more about filling the seats rather than the seats going out. You know what I mean? And that's why I said what made the Catholic Church great, despite all of the stuff we hear about, what's going on now, is the community work, right?
Yep.
So the church was heavily involved in community and influencing politics, because who was running for politics a lot at that time?
Well, I think also too, Kurt, what you're saying though, but it was an emphasis from the Catholic Church to be good citizens as well. So part of mainline Catholic doctrine is be a good Catholic, right? Where in Protestant, Pentecostal, kind of churches is no one is good, but they don't emphasize being good in your community, right? So we kind of missed that at time. Where Catholic theology, they emphasize that you got to be a good Catholic. That means you got to live by the law. You got to do all these things. And I think sometimes we don't emphasize that from a Protestant standpoint. Not to say we don't completely, but it's just not. If you're gonna live in your community, be a good neighbor. Clean your yard, cut your grass. Just little things like
help
that.
Your neighbor. If they can't do it,
exactly.
It's funny. It's funny because I would go to forgive my sins once a week. So whatever I did during the week, I said, I'm good. I'll go Sunday and I'm going to be forgiven anyway. So whatever I did that week, I'm good, because I'm going to go ask for forgiveness and I'm good again. So I would leave after giving forgiveness, I'm fresh and clean. I'm good to go. It's all done.
I don't know if that's good theology.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, but it's not taught. It's like, this is how I felt. Nobody told me how I feel, but that's like, all right, I did this, I lied, I cheated, I did this, I did that. But you know what? I'm going to go Sunday, I'm going to ask for forgiveness, and I'm going to be good again.
And you're going to try not to do it again.
And I'm going to try not to do it again. Try not to do it again.
So, the series is on crime and consequence.
Yeah.
And to me, what it seems like in summation is the church has to play a role in community. In order for there to be less crime and consequence.
I believe that. On our part.
On our part,
yes.
Because like I said, we can have policies, man. We can have politics. But the problem is you can't politic people's heart.
Nope.
But you can preach to a man.
That's a fact.
And that's what's going to change the heart.
You know what I'm saying? You can have a relationship with a man. And that's what's not happening. The church this is what's happening. There was a time that all of a sudden politics started coming up with these different programs. And the church saw an opportunity of convenience. That, when you need something, instead of me having to provide those resources for you, now there's a government program that you can go to. So even though you've been paying your tithes here for the past 16 years, Sister Johnson, and now your light's about to be cut off, the church not here for that, but you can go to that program called HEAP, and they'll help you out.
And they will, though.
And they will.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They will help you out.
They will.
But look at what that does to the person spiritually.
Yeah.
That here, I've been a faithful person, been tithing faithfully, been just giving my time, and I've been believing, and I come to you because I thought that you said you love me. I'm supposed to be your brother, your sister, and you care for me. And I come for you for help. But the church ain't here for that.
No, you help them provide guidance of where to get the assistance.
That's the help.
That's the help.
That's the help.
That's the help.
You see
Well, that's one form of
You
help.
see the common denominator in all this is money.
Yeah.
That's why your program eventually failed, right? And that's what you complained about the most. Like, we need more resources. We need more money. The church need more money if they're going to provide that service for people who need my RG.
No, but they got the money.
They got the money.
No,
There's
the
churches
church
that
be
got
having
the
the money,
money.
man.
Churches
The
got
church
money.
be having the money.
No, it's the attitude what Kurt is talking about, right? It's the attitude.
Pass along the buck.
Exactly.
No,
It's
but
the attitude.
you got to think logically. There's people who need that help, that you can help with that money in politics and in church, and there's going to be a lot of people that try and take advantage of that
But people are taking advantage of the system too.
See what I'm saying?
So
it's
but
only
you're gonna
so
have
much
that.
money though. It's
The
only
only
so much
difference-
Then why
money.
is the system
The
working?
only
then?
hold up. The only difference, though, what you're talking about, Kurt, is that people who actually attend church versus somebody who's not in the
Yeah,
church,
just coming up off the
they're
street.
just coming up
Right,
off the
right.
street. So that's the difference. But the reality is that the church, what is morphed into, and I agree with Kurt to a lot of what he's saying. Not all of it. Inner city churches struggle in this area big time because we have way too many churches, way too many pastors that are not pastors. They're not shepherds, bro. And if you go to some of the minority churches, you know the good ones. But you go into some of them and you realize, damn, why am I here? Like it's got an agenda, it's driven, and the shepherds that are there do not care about the people. And there's numerous testimonies. Now, that's a whole nother episode. We probably already talked about that. So I don't want to get too far off of that.
But with so I wanted to ask you this question before because we're getting close to closing the program. What your opinion with the climate we at now in the city? I mean, and this is not only Rochester, Chicago. There's probably multitude of cities that's at this climate right now. Where do you think we need to get back to, if we need to get back to a program, or what do you think needs to be done from a city program or whatever it may be? What do you think we need to get to make a difference right now to stop all this?
Yeah, I think honestly, people need to set aside their egos, set aside their
right
agenda.
There. That's it right there.
Set aside their, whatever they have against somebody else. They need to set all those things aside and really start having open heart communication. Really to talk about going back to the basics.
Yeah.
And the basics is communication. Build those relationships and be visible where these kids are at. You got to be visible. If you're not visible, they're going to take over and they're going to keep running the way they're running. And if you don't really,
and you can't expect the police to just do all this work.
because police are reactive.
Yeah.
Police are reactive. That's what they're not going to go out there and be proactive.
And more, people are just making it harder for them to do their job.
They're making it tough for them to do their
can't
job.
do
So
their
right
job.
now, you have to build relationships with these young officers who are coming right from the academy that, they're 22 years old, 23 years old. They haven't lived life yet.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be put in a position of authority where for them, they as scared as anybody else being out there in uniform, right?
Yeah.
'Cause this is real for them, right?
Yeah.
And you got cats right now fighting with cops, grabbing their guns, grabbing for their guns.
Yeah.
That's nothing good. That's not remedy for anything. That's a remedy for just more assaults and more bad things to happen. And then this right here doesn't make it any better.
Yeah. Social media.
Cell phones alone, recordings don't make it any easier. So I think right now, just going back to basics, communication, dialogue. I mean, just really
Because
having
it's kind of a
conversations.
one person at a time mentality.
That's my
It
motto.
And it's-
One household at a
Yeah.
time.
One
It's the
household at a
house
time.
out
One
there.
house
But
at a time.
it's a proactive initiative, not reactionary.
Yes. I mean, there's some people out there right now trying to do some really good things.
Yeah.
But because they have had checkered past, they're not looking at them as the person that they used to be. They're looking about the person that they are right now. If you were a person who supported Black Lives Movement, or if you're a person who supports our, Blue Lives Matter, they're looking at all of that. You got to drop all that right now and just look at the person for what they're trying to accomplish right now is to build relationships with young people in
Man,
the
it's
community.
wicked out here, bro.
It's wicked.
It's wicked.
Because
out
now
here.
that's where I would say this solution rather, or a solution, gets lost in the extremism of the left side, and that's the defunding the police, right? Yeah. So I think that there's merit to creating more initiative for proactive movements. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Where it hopefully will lessen the need for the reactionary. Mm-hmm. But the message is getting lost because it's being pinned or coined as, basically just get the cops off the street and let anarchy run. And I don't think that people who truly have an honest and a true motive behind the so-called defunded police, that's not really what they're asking for. What they're really asking for is let's stop funding so much what happens after the crime is done, and let's put our weight behind trying to help before the crime is even committed.
Right.
And-
Well, you just gave $5 million to the Police Accountability Board, right? That's for anything that happens after the fact.
Again, money.
Yeah.
All these things are dependent on money is going
It
to
is.
fail.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Anything dependent on money is going to fail.
Yeah,
Is it though?
yeah.
I think so.
Well, you see
It'll
that.
help.
I
But
think
it's
we just
not
got to
the thing,
change culture, man. You don't need
we
money
do
to
gotta
change
change the
culture. You
culture.
don't need
No,
money to
but-
preach.
but you need
You
the
don't
money
need
to-
money to
to
go into the
fund it.
community and be like, yo, what are you doing, bro?
It's true.
Like, yo, parents, what are you
Accountability.
doing? You know
Accountability.
your kid going,
Look what that's.
you don't
that's-
need money
look-
for that. Just
Gemma,
each one's each one. That's
Gemma,
it.
look at that school. It's somewhere in the
agree, Gemma.
Midwest. The dad's on duty.
Yeah.
You heard about that
Yeah,
program?
So they're
all-
bringing
all-
that here.
They're bringing it here, but we can't do it the way they did over there. They
Okay.
all went to one school.
They
We
went
have
to one
so many
school.
schools.
Right. Yeah.
Right now,
So, but
that-
I reached out to that. My bad. I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
to-
reached out to the parent liaison here in the city, and and I'm hoping he gets back to me. But here I come. I find out that they're starting training already.
who'd you reach out to, Tony?
It was somebody in the city that works for the city that has some kind of parent engagement.
The district or the city?
No, the
Explain
city.
The city.
Explain
city.
to Gemma what it is, because he doesn't know what it is.
So dads on duty are
I saw it on Facebook.
Oh, you think?
Okay,
Okay,
so, all right, so
I'm sorry.
They're calling it the
I'm sorry.
father
But that's what
initiative.
you're
the father fire.
That's
right?
right.
It's called
They
fire.
ain't getting paid.
Fire. You're talking
They
about
volunteering.
fire.
Volunteering.
Yeah.
But this is my thing, right? I'm a pastor. I reach out like, yo, I'm really interested in doing this. I want to go into the schools, and
They're starting training.
guess what? I never got a call back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I never even got an email. I gave my email, everything. Right? I know dudes are busy. Right? I know guys are.
But come on now.
But I'm reaching out now.
You're reaching
So
out.
now I'm a follow up though, because I really feel like God leading me to be a part of this. Like
Yes.
Right.
this is important. Fatherhood is important to me. But this is the thing though. If you're gonna have these things and people are reaching out, people are interested, this is where the relationships come in. I need to take whoever it can come. And,
Exactly.
and obviously there may be a reason why I give them the benefit of the doubt. That's why I'm gonna follow up again. But anyone who's interested,
Anyone.
you got to take that, at least just to hear them out and see where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask this, Ray. Where do you want to be? You said you lost your love for the city, but you're kind of growing back for it. Where do you see yourself?
So it's like a song. I'm looking for love in all the wrong places, right? but I'm looking for love, in the city and wherever I feel can best utilize what I bring to the table, right? And that is community togetherness, bringing communities together, black and brown folks together to address all of those issues. Whatever that is, I don't know, but I'm searching for it, right? Whether it's with young people, whether it's with parents, adults, whether it's with cats that are locked up in the penal system, whether it's going to the downtown county jail and tagging along with the preachers that go there to the church, go there to the prison to preach with the inmates. I don't care what it is, but I'm looking for that fire. I'm going to use that word. I'm looking for that fire to be reignited in me to give back to the community. I don't know in what capacity. I just know what I bring to the table.
No doubt.
And when I bring it, I'm coming strong. And I have a huge gathering, a huge following that will follow just because of their belief in me and what I bring to the table.
Influence, yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically what I'm looking for. We've tried all these different programs, and what has happened is it starts off really good. And it doesn't cost money to start a program. It doesn't cost that. It costs time. It costs energy.
Manpower.
It costs manpower. And then you got so many people asking for so many things, for time, for different things. So you have to pick and choose what is near and dear, closest to your heart, that you're going to commit to and stay focused on, right? So I ask for men to follow me at a school, with all boys school, and say, look, just give me 1 hour a month. 1 hour a month, so that those kids could see us every hour, every month for the school year. That's 10 months. Right? We started off the first 2 months with like 18 men. 4 months later, I had 2. So what happens to that? That's called, the
Inconsistency, and kids see
the
that.
commitment is gone. Guess what? Those kids were let down already by their own family, and here you are. You can't commit to 1 hour. So if you tell me you in, then you're in. And I'm going to take that at your word. Your word is that you're in. But what we see time and time again
it's
People
just
change. No consistency. Yeah. Especially with time.
And that's
so
where
it's
the money
our
comes
fault.
in.
So that's our fault, though.
We don't pay people.
That's
We
our
are
fault.
consistent.
That's our fault.
We fail.
That's where the money comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay people to be consistent.
But I do want to just go on record real quick and just say thank you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for
Definitely, bro.
I'm feeling some nerves in me right now. It's not the hoodie, it's the nerves inside of me. I'm feeling, like that energy. But I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here with you guys. And I listen to your podcast all the time anyway. Throw that on there. So thank you.
Appreciate you, Ray, man. Definitely, man. And let me encourage you, Ray, just from a pastoral standpoint, man. You're valuable before the Lord, man. And I don't know if you know him as Savior or not. I don't even know if you're attending church, Ray. But the reality is, Christ died for you too, right? And he wants you to know him as Lord and Savior, but also as Father, man. And just like you doing all this work, man, and not to be a Debbie Downer in all this, right? You can do all these things and actually help people. But if you don't know Christ, it's all dead works before him. And so I just want to share that gospel message with you that not only did he just die for us who here host this podcast, he died for you too, man. And I pray you come to know the Lord, and just want to let you know our doors are open for you to come and fellowship with us anytime, man. And if you ever want to talk anything spiritual, obviously you got Dawn Dada, Hot Mike Dawn Dada. That's right. But myself included, I know Pastor Kurt and Jam as well, man. Anytime you want to chop up spiritual stuff, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Or if you come up with a program and you need some manpower, I could do 1 hour a month for something dope like that.
I appreciate
your word is bond.
Oh,
You
yeah,
saying
it
on
is
the
bond.
podcast. Your word better be
it's on the
bond.
podcast.
1 hour a month.
Because Kurt said your word
Hey,
ain't
you know I'm
bond.
gonna come through. I'm gonna come
Kurt
through.
said your word is not bond. Kurt just
1
saying.
hour a month. That's
Kurt
it.
just
1
said your
hour a
word
month,
is not
yeah.
bond.
No, Kurt didn't say my word is not bond.
Okay, he
1 hour a
didn't
month.
debate
No,
you.
no. Look. This is what I mean. I would love to come speak to some kids and tell it the way I feel.
That's
Not
what's up.
no Democrat. Oh, we're here to man up, man. Man up. You got this going on with your parents. You do this, do that. I went through the same thing, man. Don't end up here, man. And I'm just telling my story.
Yeah.
And be like, where I'm at right now. I'll show you my pay stub, the whole nine, where I live, the whole nine. You could do it too.
You don't want to do that. You get robbed.
You can
But
do it
anyways,
too.
no, but I hear where you're coming from. You went a little too far.
Ain't no packing, no. I'm packing, no.
We actually, just so you know, we have a class that we don't tell our kids man up anymore. And I'll tell you why in another time.
Word?
Yeah, man up is actually negative.
Behind the scenes.
So
right?
The whole LGBTQ thing?
No, because a lot of these kids don't know what a man is. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's dope. Yo, last words. Who got some last words here, man?
Last words. Jam, you got any last words? Because you've
Don't
been
stop
speaking
trying to play
a lot.
me on public.
Listen.
Because I told Kurt, and Kurt was understandable about that.
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, well, listen, man. We're going to close this out. TATS Nation, keep riding. TATS, go keep driving. We out.
Peace.
See ya.